Oh, okay. Hello, hello. Welcome in. Uh, well, I've got secret special guests. They probably won't peek around the corner, but we're cooking for an audience today. I feel like I've got a like a bloom filter on. Is my camera smudgy? Hold on. Better. The camera was. I probably should have switched off the camera when I did that. I've got guests, so I've got to be on my toes because I can't just mess up and then say, "Oh well," and eat it, because we've got to serve dinner. Um, and on that note, I'm also going to have to get cracking because we've got to serve dinner at a timely manner, and I feel like I've got quite a lot to do. So we'll start doing. Uh, we're going to pop us straight over here to the stove to start with. Oh, what the heck is that? Oh, it's a piece of the sponge. Piece of the sponge got caught in the burner. Good thing I spotted that before I turned it on. So I should just be using a prepackaged sauce for this, but I'm not going to, which is why this is going to take extra time. And I want to get it started quickly so it has time to develop while I prep. So the flavor has time to develop while I prep everything else. So olive oil. I need to dice up ingredients, so we'll come back over here. Grab my. What is? Okay. Um, grab my board. Grab my knife. Grab my ingredients and start chopping. And get the heat on that pot. I'm going to build the base of the sauce right in the pot so I can add stuff to it. So I'm opening this up with not a mirepoix because there's going to be bell pepper in it, but like the second cousin to a mirepoix. Um, it probably falls within the realm of a sofrito, but I'm not sure. And it's pretty much the same. It's pretty much the same thing. It's an aromatic vegetables cooked slowly and on. Keep an eye on that heat. Medium lowish heat, so they don't brown, but they sweat out and express their sweetness, their natural sweetness and flavors, and then you build a sauce on top of that. I need a scraps bowl. This would definitely be easier if I just used a prepackaged sauce, but I've got guests. I've got to pull out the stops. We can't we can't let my guests leave thinking I haven't done everything. Uh, no, I know I've got celery. Where did I put it? No, refrigerator. I know you're lying to me. We've got celery. We're probably not going to use that whole carrot either. Um, Celery, where have you hidden yourself? Aha. The guests brought gifts, and I plumped them into the fridge, and I evidently plunked them directly on top of the celery. I knew I had celery. I checked ahead of time that I had all the things I needed for this. So the basic mirepoix is onion, celery, and carrot. And I'm adding green pepper. And what we've got, what they are collectively, are aromatic vegetables. They also all, well, except the pepper, I suppose, contain a lot more sugar than you expect when you just taste them raw. And by gently cooking them, and we salt them because it draws water out and helps them to sweat instead of browning. We cook them gently. It causes the sugars to express out of the things, and it gives us a sweetness that was there all along, but you couldn't taste it amongst all of the stronger vegetable-y flavors. I always find cutting carrots awkward because they want to bend, unless they're very fresh. They always want to bend a little bit as soon as you break the skin. And my carrots are almost never very fresh because they keep a long time and I don't use them super fast. You can tell this one has been in there a little bit. It's developing a hat. Oh, I'm drifting off the bottom of my camera angle here. Less carrot than the other two, and I want to dice it smaller because it's harder and it takes a bit longer to cook. I believe it's supposed to be 1 part celery, 1 part carrot, and 2 parts onion. Hi, welcome in. Glad you were able to connect this fine day. This is the very same third pepper from Saturday. As you can see, it's been sitting and it's developed a little bit of a surface wrinkle. So it's a good thing I'm using it up. Eh. And we may have thrown a tiny bit of clickbait in the title. There's going to be pumpkin spice going into this nonsense today. So it's not clickbait, but it's sure something that is going to attract attention. I maintain that the pumpkin we're not even close to adding the pumpkin spice. I'm just chit-chatting about pumpkin spice now. I maintain that the pumpkin spice mix, although made famous by sweet things like pumpkin pie and the pumpkin spice latte, is a very savory spice blend when you just take it by itself, and I love using it on savory dishes. Because if you don't add the sugar, it's these strong spices that have long been used in many traditions as meat spices. Eh. Werecat! Hello, hello! Welcome in. Well, I have not been writing up my recipes. I can give this one a go. I really should get in the habit of writing up the recipes that I am creating. My pumpkin spice blend is ginger, cinnamon, cloves, uh, nutmeg, and allspice. There is some variation to it. I've seen across the board, but those seem to be the most consistent ones. And they're not going to be the only spices in this, simply because I've got a lot of things going on in here. I feel like this front burner has been running extra hot lately. I've seen it without the nutmeg. It always has the other four, though, from what I've seen. Okay. So that stuff needs to sweat down. I need a WeFormer is also here. Welcome. Oh, you're the same color. You both have a W name and you're the same color. So that stuff. Oh, I'm over there and losing track of which camera I'm on. Oh, and the gentlemen are still out. Put the gentlemen away. Uh, so that stuff needs to sweat down and soften up and express all its flavors, and it's going to take a good several minutes. Almost want to give it a splash of water just to slow it down a little bit. I think we're going to do that. I feel like I pulled this burner out and replugged it in at some point, and I don't know if I made the connection firmer, because it seems like it runs a little hotter than I'm used to. It just did that suddenly. I burned a few things when I wasn't expecting to on this specific burner. Oh, I forgot to move the camera. So that's the base. That needs to sweat down, soften up. We're going to construct the rest of the sauce on top of that, but we've got time to think about it. We are going to put tomato. This is tomato-based sauce. Actually, I need to remember. I did this last time. I did this last time. I did not. Oh, you purple people. Need to remember to prep my garlic early enough that it can really develop its flavor before I dump it in. And we're not going to go completely crazy with the garlic, but there definitely has to be garlic in this. I'm going to grab, because it's going to go in two places. It's going to be in the sauce and it's going to be in the meat stuffing as well. So I'm going to get 3 of these big cloves, and we're going to use half of it in each place. And that should be a good amount. Oh, yeah. The pumpkin spice blend, it usually has powdered ginger in it. So it's not like a very strong ginger, but I like to use fresh ginger, and it really jumps it up. I made like a Chinese style dumpling spiced with pumpkin spice. And in that one, I leaned in on the ginger uh, because it went well with the flavors, or the rest of the way the flavors were developing. That's what I love about the blend. You can adjust the quantities of each of its components and customize it for. Get the scrap bowl closer by so I can stay on camera while I'm doing this. You can customize the proportions in your specific pumpkin spice, unless you buy a pre-made blend, to tweak it to the specific thing that you're cooking. Uh, and yes, ginger and garlic go really well together just to begin with. I got a little baby clove, so skinny that I'm not even sure I can peel it. And we're doing the full grate on this because I want it to really develop its flavor. Crush or grate your garlic 10 minutes ahead of when you're planning on using it, and it will develop a lot more of that garlicky flavor as it sits before you get to it. If you just slap it right into the heat, a lot of the chemistry that's going on in there that creates that garlicky flavor gets burned off. Oh, I know my guests like garlic. I also know they don't like excessive garlic. So I'm putting in a lot of garlic, but I'm gonna balance it out. I was making this for myself. I might throw another clove in. These are quite large cloves. Let's get my little scraper spatula out. Uh, Whacking the garlic is popular. The crushed garlic does develop the same flavor juices. Um, if you want little bits, I would suggest crushing it with the flat of a knife, which is like you put it over the top and you go whack with the back of your hand, and it crushes the clove, and then run through it with a mince. So you get both. You get the crush and the little bits. I want maximum garlic flavor, and I don't really care about the bits because the bits are going to get lost in the things I'm making anyways. So I'm going with the fully pulverized paste here to maximize the amount of crushed up garlic, because I know that I'll lose. Like in the sauce, the bits are just going to melt anyways. Going to have to use this grater again, so I'm going to rinse the garlic juices off of it before they become too sticky. Garlic juice is surprisingly sticky. I could probably do. Change my mind. We've changed our mind. We've still got time. I'm going to do another one of these big fat cloves. That can all be for the sauce, and then this one can be for the meat. We can have garlic on both parts. And this one I'm going to do the other way. Oops. Chunks flying around. Crush it up. Find that little hard nubbin right at the end and take it off. And then mince. The minced stuff, I think, will actually probably work better in the meat anyways. The pasty blob might get stuck to the bottom of the pan instead of incorporating into the meat when I get that far. So this actually might be a good idea to do it this way. And this can sit around as well. You can have garlic well in advance. I wouldn't do it the day ahead, but prepping it at the start of your overall cook is perfectly acceptable. Okay. 2 garlics, trash pull out of the way. 2 garlics ready to go. Push stuff off the side of the camera angle. Rinse the juice off my hand. Make sure my sofrito isn't browning. Okay. Okay. Next up, ginger. The fattest ginger I've ever had. I'm just going to take the. I know there's a method to peeling ginger, and it's so tedious. I'm just going to cut the skin away from this one. Although the skin is edible as well, and you can just grate your skin on ginger into whatever you're cooking, and it'll be fine. It'll leave little brown bits in whatever you're cooking, but you won't taste it. The only part I really want to get off is this dried end from where I cut it last time. Yeah, you're right. There's no like this is the way to peel ginger, and because of that, I often just don't peel the ginger and go with. There's going to be little brown bits in whatever I've made because I didn't peel my ginger because I don't care. Oh, that's an idea. Well, I didn't have plan for that, so mine go in the compost scrap today. Other reason I wanted to rinse off my grater is because I want to grate the ginger as well. Which is a bit more difficult. Ginger is much harder than garlic and a lot more fibrous. Eh. I might just mince the other half and combine it with this pasted half. The ginger's not going in the sauce. The ginger is going in the meat. Well, what do you think? Ginger in both or ginger just in the meat? I know it's awkward to ask when people don't really know what I'm making because I'm kind of making it up. Okay. We have a consensus. Ooh, that was a little rough. I think we might. Well, no, I need this. I need this again one more time for the nutmeg. Okay, put that on the drying thing. Hopefully it dries before I get to my dry spices. Push around my sauce. The sauce needs a splash of water because those guys are not yet fully sweated, in my opinion, but they are out of liquid and they're going to start browning really soon. So that's a trick I learned from a YouTube chef who said, Why bother keeping your caramelized onions on low temperature? Just put water in there, and whenever it runs out of water, put a splash of water in there, because it's the water that's keeping it from browning. And that never occurred to me. I think it's a great, I think it's great advice. Uh, okay. I haven't tried it, but it sounds good. So maybe we'll give that a try. I'll caramelize onions on high heat using just water to prevent it from burning, browning. And then whenever it's as caramelized as you need it to be, you just cook off the remaining water, and you've got caramelized onions. Sounds good. Sounds like a good hot tip. Okay, that was much easier than than the other half that I grated. Okay, that's quite a bit of ginger. That's quite well. I'm using lamb, so strong meat calls for strong spices. The dry spices. I've got whole. Let's see. Should have gotten these out of my thing over here ahead of time, and I did not. The spice rack. We've got cloves. We've got. No, the nutmeg is up here. We've got nutmeg. We've got. Nope, that's nutritional yeast. We've got nutritional yeast. One of these is whole cinnamon. One of these is whole cinnamon. Also, one of these is whole allspice. Ground allspice. Whole allspice. The only one missing is cinnamon. Where's my whole cinnamon? Cinnamon. Cinnamon. Where did I put that? I've got a big jar of whole cinnamon sticks that I use very, very slowly because I only break them out for special things. And aha! Because I use it so rarely, I put it down by the coffee. So that's what a nutmeg looks like for people who weren't aware. It's a nut. Cloves are a strong flavor. So I'm pulling out mm, 6 of them. Cloves are one of those things where it's really easy to go overboard. Allspice is less strong, but I don't want it to overpower, so I'm also going to go light on that. We're not going to use that whole nutmeg either. We'll probably use half of that nut. And cinnamon, I've got a little broken end that I can grind up fresh. Check on my vegetables. They look pretty soft at this point to me. We're not caramelizing them, so I don't think I need to go any further than that. I'm going to take the garlic that we just prepped, chuck that in there. cook until fragrant, which happens very fast. Recipes often say 30 seconds to fragrant. I would hazard it's more around 10. Now I'm going to open up this can of tomato that I almost opened up at the beginning, wastefully. Get this one started first to get the tomatoes developing, and the other canned ingredient that I have brought along can go in slightly after. We want to work out that tomato, that raw tomatoey flavor. For which we need more heat as well. Okay. Oh, and it's on the wrong angle. I dumped a can of tomatoes in the pot. That's what you missed while I was over there. Spice grinder, because I was focusing on the spices. We'll be grinding our own whole spices today. Except for the nutmeg that I'm going to use the microplane on, because I think it would destroy my spice grinder here. The cinnamon can be made smaller to help the spice grinder along as well. It's hard, but it's brittle enough that if you lean into it, you can break it into little chunks the spice grinder will be able to get a hold of. Get out another one of these for that. Oop. Hope I can get these powdered up sufficiently in this little grinder. That's pretty good. I've opted to go with the grinder instead of going them by hand, which I think is giving me a less consistent ooh. Ooh, boy. Folks, I think it's pumpkin spice. I think if I ground it in the mortar, it would be a more consistent size, but it would not get as fine. The grinder here, I don't know if you can tell. No, don't focus on the background. Focus on the grinder. Ugh. Okay, I don't know. I can't make it focus that close. It's got a lot of powdered spice, and then it's got some bits as well. And that's going to be a side effect of using the spice grinder, because it kind of makes the spices fly up. So some of them just fly up past the blades and don't get fully pulverized. But the ones that do go through the blades get really pulverized. So it's a trade-off. I could. Also wondering if this is enough pumpkin spice. Get the grinder out of the way. I could, and if I actually need to add more, I'll do it anyways. So I'm gonna get this guy out. I'm gonna run it through the mortar as well. Also, doing it with the grinder is helpful because trying to do cinnamon sticks in the mortar, I've done it. It's very hard. I usually grate my cinnamon sticks on the microplane here because it's so hard, and even that's not really very easy. They're tough, which makes sense because cinnamon is tree bark. Nutmeg, I always go through the grater. It's soft enough that you can put it through the microplane pretty easily. But because it's a big round chunk, it just tends to jam the grinder. And it's such a big chunk that it's pretty much impossible to do in the mortar. I would need a really big mortar and just pound on it. We'll give that a quick spin. And then aside from this not having the ginger in it, that's your pumpkin spice. That's the stuff that they put in all those silly coffee drinks. We'll just get it out of there in case I need to use the mortar for something else. It's just a couple of basic spices. At least they're basic around North America parts. And yeah, homemade pumpkin spice is easy, fancy. It tastes better than the pre-made stuff because a chunk of cinnamon got away from me. It tastes better than the pre-made stuff because freshly ground spices always have a stronger punch than the pre-powdered stuff. So you don't need as much. I am going for a pretty strong flavor, so I've still made quite a bit of it. Let's get the nutmeg back in the nutmeg jar. I've had this nutmeg for, like, when you buy nutmeg, it seems like it's expensive, but I've had this jar of whole nutmegs for 5, 6 years, probably more than that. You hardly use any of it, and when it's whole like this, it doesn't go off. It'll probably eventually go off, but like the powdered stuff, you got to use it or lose it. Whole spices like that, they just survive. Put that little fragment in there. So I suggest buying, if you're buying spices, I suggest buying whole spices whenever you can because they last longer, so you don't have to repurchase them down the line. Okay, that guy out of the way. My sauce is probably should be at a simmer rather than a boil. But we are going to add the other part, and this is the part that is probably going to be controversial. I have another can. This can contains pumpkin. I am making a pumpkin tomato pasta sauce. And it is too late to change my mind. I was reading about recipes for pumpkin sauces, specifically pumpkin marinara. Evidently, you can, and people have, made pasta sauce out of pumpkin using pumpkin instead of the tomato. I'm using it in addition. And it's going to need some more water because the pumpkin is very thick. And I want this to be a sauce, not a paste. But I'm not adding any tomato paste to amp up my tomatoiness to this. I'm also not using the whole can of pumpkin. But we are going to add some water. I want this to be saucy. I'm on the wrong angle again. I'm just over here. So maybe I will try making a purely pumpkin savory sauce at some point. This one's a hybrid with tomato and sofrito. It still needs to cook down and get to know, the flavors need to get to know each other. Pumpkin is not an inherently very sweet flavor, so it just tends to get used in American cooking, at least, in very sweet applications. Or at least in the public consciousness it does. So whenever it's used in a savory application, people are like, ooh, even though that actually happens more often than I think people realize. It smells pretty good. The garlic smell has become rather muted as I've added other things on top of it. The spice blend is delightful. I need some herbs. The pumpkin has thickened this massively. We're getting those little volcano-y pops, and I don't want that. So I'm going to add even more water to try to calm that down. If I'd added the whole can of pumpkin, I would never have been able to bring this back to a sauce. As it stands, what I'm doing is I'm basically making it a soup, and then I'm going to cook it back down to a sauce from the soup. And when we get it to a point where I'm just happy to let it simmer and reduce, I'm going to move it to this back burner, and I'm going to let it bruttle away while I do other things. But I need some basil. So we're going outside to grab some basil. And one of my basils is flowering like mad, so we're going to take a big chunk off of that guy. Because we can't have the flowers taking away from my basil leaves. So instead of pinching the flowers off, I'm just popping the stems off that have the flowers on them. Get these off there. It also looks like it could use some water. These are a little soft. We are getting on to that end of season. I'm going to have to pick these guys pretty soon. Pumpkin curry soup in the fall with a fresh sugar pumpkin. I can never find those. This canned stuff is not the strongest flavor in the world. When I make something that calls for fresh pumpkin, I tend to reach for a butternut squash because they taste the way we think pumpkin is supposed to taste, and they're bright orange, and they're much easier to find and cook. In fact, I've got one here, and I almost used it as the pumpkin element of this dish. And then I decided that it would take too long for the purposes of the show to roast off the butternut squash before I even constructed the sauce, because I really thought the sauce needed to get going right at the start. So it was decision. Home Depot. Well, we don't have a Home Depot where I live because Menards has forced the city council to not approve any competing hardware stores. So all we have is Menards. I will hold my tongue on my opinion of that political/business decision and let my tone alone express for me how I feel. I'm going to keep the small ones. We can use them as a garnish, I think. Okay, I've seen this too, where you take your herbs, you roll them up, and then you slice them like this, and you get these beautiful ribbons. You got shredded basil. We're going to throw that in the pot. I'm not going to remove it from the pot. We could try the farmer's market. There's a farmer's market tomorrow, actually. I could go take a peek. But I can find butternut squash pretty easily. And like I said, it tastes the way people think that pumpkin is supposed to taste. I don't know that it actually tastes like pumpkin, but it sure tastes like what people think pumpkin is supposed to taste like, and that's probably better than being authentic. And it's just so much easier to work with. Okay. That stuff needs to simmer. So let's get this back left burner on and transfer it over. And kick the front one off for the time being. I've got some leftover pumpkin I'm going to have to deal with. We're going to save the remaining basil. We're going to save the remaining basil. We're going to pull up our meat, because the meat needs to be cooked with all of our spices and then cooled enough to handle, because it needs to be stuffed. So that's our next step. Get out my favorite nonstick. Should take the label off of my meat before I put it on camera. Unless the farm that produced it would like to sponsor me. Make sure to not drop plastic into it. What we have here is open pasture. Open pasture? What's the phrase? It's on the label here. Free range. Free range ground lamb. I'm going to prime the pan here with a smidge of oil, but the lamb has quite a bit of fat in it, so I don't need much. I just want to get it started. It's hot. The pan's already hot. Cooking my fingers. I'm literally cooking my fingers. What am I doing? Why have I done this? Why didn't one of you stop me? Welcome in, Saizan. You're just in time to see sheep babies. I'm going to try to not compact it into blobs, because it's this nice loose grind, so we can actually get a good grind on it, or a good cook on it, without it forming those little clumpies. But I need to kind of be careful with pulling it out. But this needs to, and then we're going to wash my hand real quick. This needs to be cooked with the spices, and I'm going to taste it as well and see if I want to add more spices to it, because I'm not sure if that's going to be enough, the amount I made. But it needs to be cooled enough that I can handle it, because I haven't shown these. These have been off the side of the camera the whole time so far. We're going to stuff these guys with it, which also need to be par cooked, but they only takes a couple of minutes. So our pumpkin soup is at a full low boil. Let's bring that back over to a simmer. They are big noodles. Let's the meat pan has to come up to heat, so I will just let that sit there. We'll come back over to the countertop real quick, and I will show these guys off. These are our main event today. They come in these little trays because there's no way they're going to just come in a box like normal pasta. They are essentially enormous rigatonis. This is called manicotti. I saved the box because I've never cooked with these before. I was requested by my dinner guests today either Italian food or Middle Eastern food. And I've opted for an Italian dish, an Italian-American dish, with the flavors of maybe the turkey grease area, with lamb and this kind of spice blend that I've got going on. So I'm kind of grabbing from around the periphery of the Mediterranean. I have dinner guests. I don't necessarily want to out them. They are in the other room. They are watching. If they wish to identify themselves in chat, they are free to do so. They are watching. But I don't feel like I should fully out them if they don't desire it. But it means I'm making enough for 3 today and actually serving 3 people instead of making enough for 3 and then eating it all myself. But yes, they chose to come just for today, just for a cooking show, and I offered them to make a request of me, and they did so. I thought I might not be able to find lamb. I went to 4 grocery stores today. I've seen lamb before, and I thought it wouldn't be that hard to get ground lamb because I have seen it at the grocery stores before. But I went to 4 grocery stores today, and 3 of them only had lamb chops, and they were quite expensive. The 4th had lamb chops, but also this very nice looking ground lamb. I was expecting to find ground lamb like in one of those shrink wrap things where it's like a little brick that's been mushed together, and you can cook with those, but they're much harder to crumble up like this, like I'm doing. Oh, like I'm doing where nobody can see me. But getting that nice loose grind, I was very happy, and it was a pretty reasonable price too. Not the cheapest. Lamb is never the cheapest thing in the world, but it was much better price than I was expecting to pay for it. So I will have to remember that grocery store carries this And it looked like it was a regular item. It had its own spot on the shelf. The farm that had the label on it had other meats around it with the same packaging and label. So I would have to remember that they have reasonably priced lamb there. For those living in my region, the place I got this lamb from is the Hy-Vee. We recently had a Hy-Vee move into town, and the prices on a lot of things are. Oh, I was just asking. The prices on a lot of things at the Hy-Vee are higher than the other grocers that are already in the area. But they have things there that I haven't been able to find consistently elsewhere. And sometimes their prices are better. So I just don't go there for staple items, so I don't often pass through. Oh, I didn't know that. Well, I will. If I wanted lamb chops or grind my own, I could have had that. I'm in Wisconsin, so northern U.S. near the Canada border in the middle. We get a lot of beef and dairy around here. Not very much in the way of lamb farming. But this stuff looked like it was ground like on site, so because I can't imagine those blister wrapped trays ship very well. That's why they do those compressed little bricks of meat, because those ship really well. They can freeze those and they ship really well. And I've got a couple of those in the freezer of other meats because they also freeze really well because they're shrink wrapped. Like here, I have example of what I'm talking about. Get one of them out. This stuff. So this is a meat. It comes in a shrink wrapped little brick. This one is bison. I got it on sale. Didn't have a plan for it. Tucked it in the freezer. It's vacuum shrink wrapped and was frozen. Freezes hard with no airspace. So, and I've seen lamb like this before, and I thought that I'd be able to find that, and I didn't. This isn't the highest quality stuff when it's like this because it has to go through the old the compressing and shrink wrapping process. So it is a little bit pastier when you get in there, less of that loose open grind. I agree that what I got is better. I was expecting to find the other thing though. I was pleasantly surprised when I found this. So I want these. Let's see. Switch camera. Oh, Shining Spear. You're lurking away. Thank you for the moisten. Moist. I want to get the little curds very small for this meat, so I'm going to take the time to really mash it up. But because it was a nice, loose, pretty fresh grind to begin with, it is much easier to do. So I'm very happy that it worked out that way. They had the same style, the same farm, the same packaging, had beef at the same store, and it had that their beef looked super fresh. It had that almost purplish red to it, where it's the color you almost never see unless you butcher your own meat, because that bright cherry red that we're all familiar with is actually slightly oxidized because the myoglobin has picked up oxygen from the air and turned red. That's fine. That's fine. I'm glad that you are paying enough attention to give me the heads up on moisten. You know, that pot probably should have been the pot I cooked the manicotti, cooked the manicottis in. The manicottis only need 4 minutes, I think. I have a reference recipe. 4 to 6 minutes. So very par cooked, firm enough to still handle and stuff. But because they're so large, tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to stir this around. Ooh, it's thickening up quite a lot as well. So that's good. That's good. We're getting back. It's coming back to a sauce. But tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to move it to the closer small burner to continue simmering. Get its handle off the side so I don't burn my hand on the handle. Pumpkin is I'm discovering just now, pumpkin is a pretty powerful thickening agent. Have to keep that in mind. But I'm going to get a large pot, the larger. I only have one pot that is larger than that pot, and it is the full-size stock pot. Probably should have gotten this going earlier. Again, they don't take that long. Felix! But given the thickening properties of pumpkin, now I'm thinking I should keep that in mind and make something down the line where I use pumpkin to thicken something that's not normally thick. Interesting. I love discovering things midway through a cook and then having ideas for the next time, for the next round. Okay. Fortunately, my water comes out of my tap pretty hot to begin with, so we will be able to get that cooking a little bit faster. Yeti soup. I've never. Oh, I should make Yeti soup. That's a good idea. Okay. My meat is fully cooked through. It is starting to reabsorb the rendered fat that it formed in the bottom. I would like to get a little bit of extra browning on it, but it's time to add our spices, I think. Either way. But ooh, Yeti soup. And we know most of the ingredients of Yeti soup. I'm going to pull that up real quick. I distract myself from my active cook by thinking about the next one. Yeti soup contains stinky fish, pumpkin, goat cheese, and other soupy things, other soup-like ingredients. Let's get that garlic in there. Let's get that ginger in there. And let's get them mixed in so they can start cooking. And let's get our pumpkin spice blend in there as well. Stir this around. Let it mingle a little bit. And then we definitely have to give this a taste because I want to make sure that it's got the pumpkin spice flavor, enough of it. I do have pre-ground versions of all of the spices that I put in here. So if any one of them is short, I can add easily a dash of the pre-ground stuff. But we'll cook it long enough to let the garlic and the ginger develop. I might end up with extra of this. I'm not sure. We're going for loose and dry as well because I'm mixing it with something else to form a paste sufficient, thick enough to stuff noodles with. Okay. Should probably preheat my oven too, because this thing, much like a lasagna, this thing gets baked after all this as well. This is a production. This probably should have just been a lasagna, but what are you gonna do? You can't stop me. That's what you can do, is not be able to stop me. Let's see. The meat's cooked. We're developing our spices. A fly has joined the party. Hello, fly. My sauce soup is thickening. Having a little layer of water on top helps it not volcano, which is good. I want to make sure it's not too thick, though, because it needs to be loose enough to be pourable onto the things. I should measure out my pan, too, which orientation. Do that while I'm chit-chatting. See if these guys fit the way I think they're going to. Or if I have the wrong quantity. I think I might have the wrong quantity. I think my pan is... Well, they'll get a little bit bigger when I cook them. You can see, they don't quite make it to the end of the pan. But when they're cooked, they'll be a little bit bigger. So that's probably just right then. Get the plastic part of the trays away. So that's probably just right. This was the pan I was hoping to be able to use. So the fact that they are close to lining up is a good sign. We'll get them out of there. Oh, I don't know if you can hear this. They make a lovely noise. They make like an ASMR noise. that is just delightful. Makes me want to cook with these again. Makes me want to make like a normal pasta dish and then cook these things and serve them with this weird giant tubes. Let's. Oh, okay, yes. Temperature of the meat has to come down. Temperature of the sauce has to come down. Temperature of the sauce should probably go to 4. We got our browned edges on the meat, so I don't want to cook the meat any more than that. I just need to taste it for the spices. Because lamb is a pretty strong flavor by itself, so it could overpower even these strong spices that I added to it if I don't have a good balance on them. I think it needs a little bit more of everything, actually. Let's. Oh, one of my dinner guests just poked in and said how much this smells good. That's a good sign. That's a positive sign that I'm on the right track. So I'm adding just a dusting of clove, a dusting of cinnamon, a dusting of allspice. Where's my ground allspice? Ground allspice. Oh, I do have ground ginger. I wasn't sure I had any ground ginger left. In a pinch, Chinese 5, the spice blend, contains cinnamon, anise, ginger, nutmeg, and clove. The only thing oddball there is the anise. In a pinch, that spice is very similar to this spice, which is another reason I'm very confident in using pumpkin spice as a savory addition. I'm not going to add more nutmeg. I'm going to add just the other 4 things in their pre-ground powdered forms. And we're going to take the heat off on this guy. It has dried up quite a lot and reabsorbed the excess fat from the pan. So I don't want to burn it now because there's not a lot of extra down there. Fortunately, it's being combined with a creamy binder. Get it onto the unoccupied burner in an attempt to cool it off a bit. Front burner is off, but I should probably put it to on and transfer this there because it will be easier to reach. And this is just shy of a full boil. Oh, thank you. I like to think I'm okay at this, at the cooking part of all this nonsense. I've definitely had some epic fails. That's also a thing that's happened a few times. I'm trying to stay vigilant to all of my stuff and not mess it up in the home stretch here. Let's taste this stuff, for example. I haven't tasted this one yet. I often do these shows without any tasting. Whoa, that's weird. Whoa. Whoa. It's surprisingly mild. Huh. Glad I tasted it. Glad I tasted it. It needs a pinch of salt. It's surprisingly mild. It's got good flavor. The flavor just isn't screaming at me. It needed a pinch of salt. It's already got quite a lot of basil in there. How long have I been cooking? Um, on Twitch, I've been cooking since. Let's see. My first show was cooking in a serious way. Is cooking on Twitch. Add a little bit of oregano to that. That has plenty of time to reincorporate extra things that I add to it because it's also going in the oven for a little while. So I can add things down the line. When did I start? Oh, God, I've lost track now. This back burner is difficult to reach. It's good for something that just needs to sit and simmer, not something that I need to stir. So I probably have been taking cooking seriously, most seriously, for 2-3 years. I did cook before Twitch, but I was less serious about it. I was less interested in being really like out there adventurous, and I really didn't care about the plating. Those are both elements that have come in a lot more since I broke into Twitch. I was a line cook for a few months, so I suppose technically I was serious about cooking then. But I was making very basic, like breakfast buffet stuff. It was not exciting cooking. But I've been cooking. I've been exposed to cooking and food for, I would say, a lifetime. Both my parents are foodies. My dad was always a very adventurous chef, and then, of course, would teach it. Not so much teach. I would hang around and watch and absorb stuff. And then we'd also get to taste all this fun, interesting stuff. Um, I thought I heard one of my guests knocking on the wall, but I guess they were just bumbling about in the background. I'm going to preheat my oven because that needs to be preheated. The sauce is what was going to take the longest. And I'm going to let it keep simmering until right up until the moment I need it, because I want it to fully develop, especially the tomato, because there's raw tomato in there. Since it's got a little bit of time left, we're going to up the tomatoiness a bit with a squirt of tomato paste. So I guess I've gradually increased in seriousness in my cooking, and it has come to a peak recently with me doing this here on the Twitch, and I really need to. I really should be editing the footage from these streams and turning it into videos as well. Okay, we're gonna get our pasta noodles in that boiling water, and we're gonna do it gently because I can't afford these to break. Ooh, one. They kind of pull out of your hand when they get caught by the boiling water. And when we pull them out, we're going to pull them out with the spider. and be real gentle about it. Or maybe even the chopsticks, and be real gentle about it. The handy dandy, super long chopsticks that it took me ages to get these things. These super long chopsticks, 15-inch chopsticks. Ultimately, they were gifted upon me because I could not find them locally. But they are excellent for things like this, where I need to be able to manipulate without sticking my hand right in there. Tongs would be too clunky. Nice thin chopstick is perfect for this type of thing, or like deep frying. So they need to be in there 4 to 6 minutes. They're going to finish cooking in this sauce in the oven. So they're only getting par cooked at this point. And that's why the sauce needs to be saucy enough, loose enough. So I keep adding water to it. If it's too thick of a paste, I don't think it will finish cooking the noodles as well. So we're waiting for a moment. This is very close to cool enough. I think it probably is cool enough right now, but I don't want to be distracted on these noodles. I don't want to be distracted on the noodles, so the meat will be dealt with immediately after. Actually, I can get things out while we're waiting on the meat. Get things out of the fridge and prepared. Or waiting on the noodles. Open up my easy peel ricotta cheese. Lick the peel. You know, I think it was my very first stream, one of my very, very first streams. I believe only Felix was here at the beginning, and then only Shining was here at the end. Neither of them saw the whole thing. I made cheese. It took 5 hours, and I made cheese. I tried to make ricotta, and it didn't work. It was an ordeal. I did get cheese at the end. I got halloumi at the end, and it was delicious. So that stream did ultimately work, but I discovered that cooking for 5 hours is an ordeal. I don't know whether or not I could do a long show like that now. I know some of my viewers are only available for a couple hours and then have to pop out, especially since my time is around dinner and people go off and eat dinner. But I could try that. I could like start early when I've got, plan ahead, start early, and do some sort of long project. Now, cheese making, I think I looked back at that video, and I think that was a terrible video. I think it was a terrible viewing. That would be a thing to do while you were chatting, while you've got a nice active chat, because it was a bowl of white liquid that I was slowly stirring for hours, and it wasn't changing because I wasn't doing it right. It shouldn't have taken 5 hours. took 5 hours because I did it wrong and I had to correct. Okay, these guys are closing in on 5 minutes. I don't want them fully cooked. I can't hardly see them. What I wanted to do was this exact thing, where I sort of hook it through the middle and pull it out like that. But I need a place to put them. So, heat off, because I think that they are cooked. I want to get them out of there before they soften any more than that. But I need a place to put them. And the place is going to be this bowl. And I'm probably going to end up with the spider. I'm probably going to take your advice there and use the spider, because I think that I might tear them if I scoop them out. They got bigger. They sure did get bigger. If we tear any of them, we don't have any extras, so we're going to use the torn ones. One of them tore a little bit, and I feel like that one actually might have been cracked when I put it in there. Okay. They are free. Let's get this pot of boiling water out of my face. And I'm going to lay them out in the pan that they're going to end up being in so they don't all glue together. But I want to get this boiling water away now so that I can not bump into it later. How hot are they? They're pretty hot. They're not crazy hot. Some of them are. That one tore a little bit. Shoot. Some of them are very hot. They are cooling rapidly. But let's get them out of there. Oil the pan. That's a good idea. Oil the pan. That's a good idea. So they don't stick to the pan. That's a good idea. The already done ones down to the oiled end. Oops. They are not fully cooked, so they're not like ultra tender noodles at this stage. They're par cooked, so they've still got some robustness to them. But I can definitely feel that if I am too aggressive with them, they are liable to fall apart. And you know what? For all my planning for this, I didn't actually get a piping bag. I'm gonna have to improvise one. They spread out because they got bigger. So they were just the right size for that pan. Perfect. Wash my hands real quick. Okay, we're nearly there, I think. things just need to be cool enough to handle. When they're super hot, I can't handle them, and I end up tossing them around, and that's when I damage stuff. So once these guys are cool enough to just pick up with my hands, I can attempt to stuff them. They're big enough that I feel like I might be able to get away with stuffing them by hand instead of improvising a piping bag. Like, hmm. Not so far. Thank you for the offer. One of my guests has offered to help me with the stuffing. I don't think I need a hand at this point. I just need to do a quick problem solve. I also need to set them aside because they need to rest up regardless while I concoct the meat mixture itself. Because we ain't just dumping a bunch of slightly dry, loose meat in there. For the proportions for this, I have a guide. I grabbed a recipe at the beginning for a different kind of stuffed manicotti. How much is in here? 15 ounces, which comes to just shy of 2 cup. Which is the exact amount that this recipe calls for, and it also called for a pound of meat. And we've got a pound of lamb, so I guess I'm just going to start scooping. The ad on this page just cycled and is showing me a whole raw skinned rabbit. That's shocking to see suddenly appear on the side of a. But I guess we just start. This is cool enough to handle. And I just washed my hands, so I'm going to start making a paste out of this. Which am I? I'm on that side. Let's switch over before my hands become completely impasted. This might be too thick to pipe. I don't know why I got this spoon out. I'm just going to use my hands anyways. Whole thing. Well, it didn't come out when I said whole thing, so I guess I'm not doing whole thing. And now we need our meat and cheese dough until it forms a smooth ball and set it aside to rise. It's forming a delightful gray. And I think I wanted to get browning on the bottom of the lamb, and I think I may have overshot it just a smidge. It feels a tiny bit dry. But yeah, that would be my improvised piping bag. Would be just a zip bag, cut the corner off of, because this is quite a large opening that I have to get into, so I don't need like a little piping tip. I would just need a plastic triangle that I can cut the corner off of. I just need this to be soft enough to do that with, and nicely and evenly combined. And I probably should taste it. Ooh. Hmm. Well, it tastes like lamb and cheese. The spices, I think, have gotten lost a little bit, which makes me want to add more. I could taste them. They were pretty. They came through pretty well when it was just the meat. I think the cheese has muted out the spices a bit. It is also cooler now, so it could be that is fooling me. Okay. Lick that spoon off. We don't need that spoon now. Um, we're not quite done with it yet. Got the end of a parsley here. Probably going to use up the remainder of this parsley in one way or another today, so I'm just going to take the whole thing out. Pick out those few little gnarly bits that always end up right in the center of the bunch. And the yellow one. Oh. Picking out some parsley. Taking off the stem. Now, if I was leaning into the fact that this is supposed to have some Mid-East flavors in it, this would have been cilantro, coriander greens, but I live in a no cilantro household. Which I myself am enforcing. Should have done that before I washed my hand. Parsley is going to hang out. We'll use some more of it for garnish later because I want to use that up anyways. My sauce looks like it has fully thickened. It's about the consistency of like a thick marinara. So I'm going to take the heat off and let it coast on residual. We should taste it. We should taste it to make sure it's not a bad sauce. Hot. The tomato flavor is fully cooked, so it doesn't need to develop any more than that. Are you big enough? No, and you've got this weird folded bottom. I guess we're using the big bag. I also have very little experience with piping in general. But we have to get to this because if we let these noodles cool off too much, they'll start to stiffen up again. This is the spatula I used on the meat, so this will be fine for mixing. Just to get that. Get that parsley blended in there. Okay. I guess we're gonna get on the adventure of the first time I've ever piped a thing ever. Oh no! Oh no! My red spatula! Oh no! Um, It broke right through the middle of the. Huh. Well, what do you know about that? I guess that means it's as stirred as it's going to be because this is garbage now. Sad. This red spatula has been with me for ages. Um, well, it did its last job. It got the parsley mixed in there. That red spatula has been with me longer than I've been in this house. Um, which is probably means it was due for being replaced anyways. But um, I was surprised. I've had a spatula break before, but it broke at the handle. That one split right through the middle of the paddle. I gotta get rolling on this. We can't mourn. We can't mourn the dead now. We have to move on. Okay, that's a piping bag, I guess. Get these guys back. Now for the fun part. Now for the tricky bit. Take the end off, grab one of the guys, stick it in, and squeeze. Block the other end with my hand. Ugh, this is difficult. I could feel an air pocket in the middle. Um, oh, and I split that one. Okay, our first one tore quite a bit already. Um, I think I may have cooked them slightly past the point when I should have. I also think that the hole on the bag needs to be bigger. Oh, this is hard. My hands are wet, and that's making it even worse. Okay, okay. I'm working things out. I gotta get the airspace out the back. Get it. Oh, come on. Come on. Get. Oh, the bag is so slippery on the outside that I can't like squeeze. I can't clamp down on it to squeeze. My hand wants to slide. So it looks like I'm squeezing the bag and a lot of the stuff, but my hand is just sliding off the bag here. Kind of want to do this with a spoon still. It's getting in there. It's just, it's hard. Okay, okay, okay. That one. Okay, that was a strategy. Right at the end there, that was a strategy. So maybe the next one will be easier. Use my belly as a brace. I guess we're doing these from both ends in little blips from both ends. Okay, we're gradually developing a plan here. I don't know if you can even see it. I can't lean. I'm using my torso to brace the bag as I push it. And it means that I'm kind of leaning off the camera. I'm trying to make this as viewable as possible, but we're losing visibility as I go. It comes through. It comes out like a nice little turd. Uh, we're getting better at it as I go. I'll go back and top off ones I think are underfilled after I've gotten a little log in each one. But the stuff comes out and gets in the tube noodles, so we are succeeding. We are at the moment succeeding. Oop, that one came out real quick. It's getting easier as the blob of stuff gets smaller in here too. Although I'm cognizant of not adding too much. I piece of plastic. I think I might have just enough. but I have to pay attention and not overfill anybody. Oh, come on. And then some of them are getting stuck at the end that I'm filling and not pushing through to the other end. And then they split. So guys, what I said just a moment ago about having just enough, we're just short. And I think I am to blame because the reference recipe that I used wanted me to add a second cheese to bulk it up, and I chose not to. And I think that has left us short. These two. So, what are we going to do about that? What are we going to do about that? Because none of them are like super packed in full either. It leaves me with two flat guys. Uh, huh. Well, that's what I get for being like, I won't follow that part of the recipe. I'll just make it up. I don't think I have a solution. I would need more filling because it's much too late to take the filling back out and bulk it up any more than it already is. So I guess there's just going to be two at the end there that are just flat noodles. They'll still be fine. I mean, they'll still be pasta noodles. They just aren't going to be stuffed with delicious stuff. We'll just pretend. We'll just pretend that they're all full. Get this stuff over here. Okay. Well, lessons are learned. My sauce is rather thick as well. Again, the pumpkin is a very strong thickening agent. I have another. This one I can solve. I have a cheat. I have a cheat for that right there. Because we are slightly short of sauce. I guess I have to open a new one. I'm going to fill in the gaps with a packaged marinara, just to make sure that the noodles are fully immersed. I think I reduced the sauce a touch more than I should have. And that's on account of the pumpkin being a powerful thickening agent. So we're just ensuring that we don't going to use the whole thing because I was already almost using the whole thing, just patching those holes. Um, should have been paying attention to that and just added this marinara to my pumpkin sauce. Oh, I made a mess. I immediately made a mess. Okay, okay. Well, this is why I'm not actually professional. Cheese. Because there's more cheese in this. Where did I put the more cheese? Standard shredded mozzarella. Oh, I froze. I didn't freeze. This camera froze. What the heck happened? What is happening there? Oh, it hates the sauce. Huh. That's worrisome. Um, that was strange and a little worrisome. It was I think it was the glossy reflectivity of the top of the sauce that was causing the camera to freak out. Oop, I think my guests are taking up residence in the dining room, ready for me to serve, although this has to go in the oven for a bit. And I'm making a side salad to go with it because this is heavy, starchy, cheesy, and we need something fresh to balance it out. Okay, oven is hot. What does my reference recipe tell me about the baking time? It says 30 minutes. We'll just keep an eye on it. Dot with butter. I'm not dotting with butter. I'm just not doing that. Okay, and while that's in there, I can create side salad and clean up a little bit. Side salad is going to be easy. Easy and basic. Easy and basic is what we're shooting for. Let's put it in a glass dish. Salad casserole. We've got a ripe garden fresh tomato. Some green leaf lettuce. A breadfruit salad. Anyone? I've still got breadfruit hanging around. I'm not making breadfruit. Got the other half of the onion there, and I grabbed a cucumber because I wanted some cucumber in my salad. Let's see, salad enough for 3. I don't eat a ton of lettuce. I just realized just noticed that I was standing in silence tearing up lettuce. That's not good viewing. But I don't eat a ton of lettuce, so I hope this lettuce doesn't go off before I get around to it. Just okay. Green leaf lettuce, garden fresh tomato. We'll just take the bottom half of that. Ooh, ooh, he's a beauty. He's a beauty on the inside. No, I didn't buy this one. This is one that was given to me today by my dinner guests. It is a beautiful, beautiful tomato. I'm cutting it into little slicey wedges so I can toss it into the salad there. This is a very nice tomato. I'm impressed. You hear that? I'm impressed. I've got the wrong page up here. I can't see what people are typing. WeFormer says that my guests are ready for noms. I think they are. I think they are. They have a little bit of a wait. They also have to wait for me to take photos when we get that far. That's unfortunately part of the deal. Tomatoes. Oh, and they immediately tossed to the bottom. Let's take a chunk of cucumber, throw that in there. And by chunk, I mean several slices that I'm then going to wedge as well. We're making like a restaurant house salad. It's not fancy. This knife is due for some professional sharpening. I think having a hard time getting into that tomato was super ripe, and I was able to just go into it. The cucumber giving me some resistance. I know everyone. Oop. Ugh. Thank you for the moisten, Zizan. Moist. And I'm not a ton of onion because this isn't a sweet onion. This is a plain old yellow, like storage onion. So it's a pretty strong oniony flavor. So we're just going to add one big slice. Break that guy up. Scatter him in there. Okay, and I will save the rest of that onion. Actually, I will just grab a bag, throw the onion. Half an onion, half a pepper, half a carrot, half a tomato. All in one bag. Bam. Saved for later. Cucumber's a little bit too big. It's gonna hang out by itself down there with that breadfruit and the lettuce. Okay, side salad is salady. Let's clean off the tomato. I've left tomato on my board too many times and had it harden and then leave a red stain. We give it a rinse these days. That's the salad. I tried tossing the tomato in when I put it in there, and it immediately sank straight to the bottom, which is typical, I suppose. So you can't see the nice red tomato poking through, but we're just going to attempt to toss it to the top and see if I want more tomato in there. We're also going to dress it. Oh, there's plenty. There's plenty. It just wants to rest at the bottom. There. All the stuff wants to fall to the bottom. Well, when I plate it and take a picture, we'll have a better angle on it. I'll craft a little pile of salad that looks just perfect. Let's see. It's going to need a dressing, and we have heavy, fatty food for the main course, so I want an acid-based dressing. And, of course, the star of our show has not even made an appearance today. Tiny Whisk. And we're gonna. I guess I'm just gonna whip some stuff together here. Ooh, okay. So extra virgin olive oil, rice wine vinegar. I probably should leave the dressing to the individual customers' tastes as well. I want my dressing to have some color in it, so balsamic reduction. And a little dollop of mustard to help it bind together. This mustard, the weird mustard, the mustard that comes in a little mug. I said the word weird, not the word beer. Yes, I can hear you in the other room. Don't worry, the folks can't. But these aren't noise canceling headphones, so. Okay. A dressing, and I will taste it. Oh, too much oil. Too much oil. How do we fix too much oil? Yeah, probably add some more acid. I could add the same vinegar. I could add a different vinegar and make the flavor more complex. This is a different rice vinegar. Weird mustard. It's weird mustard. It comes in a little glass mug. It's German mustard. I know you're supposed to use Dijon, but it's the mustard itself that is the binding element. Still a little bit oily. I'm gonna give it another. I realize that's how it's used. They're talking smack about my dressing in the other room. Problem I'm having with it is that it kind of just tastes like olive oil. So I'm adding more stuff to it. Okay. Okay. If this doesn't work, then I'm just going to serve it as is. It's fine. It's not great. It's a salad dressing. I'm gonna straighten up my spice rack a little bit while we're waiting for the pasta to finish. Since I pulled all my spices out trying to get at some of them, there's a mess on my countertop. Oh, ugh, get under, go over. Too many spices. I've decided I have too many spices. We need to get rid of some of them. Okay. How long has that thing been in there? Probably should have set a timer. 20 minutes, I think. Well, it's close. I'll tell you what. I've got those 2 tester noodles in there, the ones that didn't get filled. I will I will use them to check for doneness when we get down to it. See, it was a plan all along. I didn't misjudge the quantity of filling. I totally planned to have 2 extra noodles to sacrifice. But yeah, okay, we're at the tailing stage of cooking. Waiting for. Made a mess of that. This is the stage when I move over to the sink and try to consolidate my mess a little bit. Almost forgot. We need to rinse the microplane off again because it needs one more. It has one more job to do. Your task is not over yet, my friend. Da, 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 well, everything is par cooked. The meat is cooked, the cheese is cooked. We're melting the cheese on the top. The noodles were only par cooked. They need to finish softening up, which is why I can use those 2 tester noodles as sacrifices to see if they're done, because they were deliberately cooked under so that they would have a little bit more sturdiness while I was filling them. So that's the one concern. Everything else was done as in safe to eat. I mean, undercooked pasta is safe to eat as well. It's just that it's not very nice. So I'll get a fork, a tester fork. I should get out some silverware for the table as well. Huh. Well, that fork's dirty, so I guess I'll have to get a different one. And they'll want knives. Well, you can probably cut that without a knife. Um, Grab my pot holders. I'm going to pull the pan out. Oh, let's switch over to the stove so we can all see it together. The top is melty. The cheese hasn't like fully incorporated, and it's definitely not browning yet. So think it needs, I think it needs a couple more minutes, even just by glancing at it. So I will take advantage of that couple more minutes to continue tidying the world here. Get my other freshly delivered garden fresh tomato. I can get. I can because I have to prepare a whole service today, not just make the food and then go and eat it in the dark corner by myself. So we can prepare that. I've got wine glasses. I have to get out 3 plates. We should get the camera station ready. The plates I'm going to use are the square ones. I think they will make for the most attractive visual here. These guys are big white square plates. I picked up a wine for the occasion. Don't mind the discount liquor sticker on it. Don't mind the markdown sticker across the barcode. But it's a corked wine, and I have to cut it open. So we'll do that. I'll show you how I open a bottle of wine. It's probably very similar to how you open a bottle of wine. So you take the little claw and run it around the foil. Then get under there. And make sure that the little claw is pointed away from you because you will slip on the glass. Pull that guy. Actually, I probably could just take the entire neck off there. And then this guy is one of these kind of corkscrews. Get it center, twist, 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 twist. I don't actually typically like corked wine. I think corking is outdated, and plastic seals, or better yet, screw tops, are more economical and better for the environment. But There you go. We opened a bottle of wine. And that's why you bit these things to save your bottle of wine. Get that discount sticker off of there so I'm not quite so tacky when I take it to the table. There's also a white for people who prefer white. That one's less impressive because it's just a screw off top, which is what I prefer anyways. Let's take a peek at our manicotti. Here it comes. It's looking pretty good. I'm going to pull it out, take a better look at it. There it is. There she blows. Flip it this way because that's the divot where the empty noodles are, and that's where I want to give it a test. So I'm going to spoil our nice clean top, which isn't very clean anyways, and just cut into one of those guys and test for doneness. It's probably hotter than hell. Which is why I just want a little piece that I can take away from the heat. Sorry, I'm not talking now because I'm blowing on the noodle. It's hot. It's very hot. But it's cooked through. Okay, tender to the middle and not mushy, so that's perfect. That's exactly where I want the pasta to stop. And then we serve these. I want one perfect plate. So we're going to serve 2 to each person. So one of them needs to come out neatly. Ooh. Second. Find the other edge. There. Oh, just a tiniest mess on the side of the plate. Okay. I only need one to come out perfectly cleanly. I can do other ones a little bit messier because only one of them needs to be the formal official photo. Part of the fun is cleaning up the plate. Okay. And then this, I think, is going to be our. Okay. I want to get this little lump that fell out the end and get it back in there. And close enough. This is going to be my official plate, so I'm going to salad this one up right away. Too much salad. And all the stuff, all the parts, they all fell to the bottom. This is the part of food photography that you never get to see. The careful arrangement of all the little parts to make one nice plate. And that's why you never get one of these that look like this at an actual restaurant. My little spoons. Spoon to gently dress my salad with my dressing. Where did I put that? Oh, I'm on the wrong side. We're on here. I'm gonna go ahead and click the big camera off for a moment. Give my house guests a chance to sneak in behind me. In Okay, that's the official one. And it will look nicer with a glass of wine. I should have poured the glass of wine on camera. Now I'm just in the other room talking to myself with people behind me. I can hear myself on the. Oops! Wake up! Wake up! Okay. Should have thought of this. Should have thought of this, but it's going to look nice. Oh, I hate doing this in the other room. It's going to look nice if I split one of them open and see the interior, I think. And I'll have the fork and knife artfully arranged just behind. They're a little underfilled because I was overconfident on my filling. Okay. Bring this back. Here we are. Now, I know my guests are hungry and ready, but of course I need to taste and tell you guys all about how this actually came together. So, click my face back on for a moment here. Now, the salad's going to be a salad. I'll taste the salad, but I don't think it's going to be a huge thing. But I really want to know how this main dish worked out. If we can even taste that pumpkin spice after all of what I've thrown at it. Oh, yeah. Immediately fell apart. Well, I'm glad that happened after I took my photos. Okay. Okay. It's creamy. The sauce is surprisingly mild. The lamb flavor comes through strongly. This is a lamb dish, first and foremost. I kind of lost the pumpkin spice. I think I probably should have jacked up the quantity even more. It's not there, but it's not like forefront. I suppose you don't want it to be overwhelming because when you put it in a pumpkin pie, you're covering up the flavorlessness of pumpkin. Whereas lamb is a strong flavor. But I think it could have stood a little bit more of that. So I'm always hesitant because cinnamon and clove are such strong flavors. I don't want to go nuts with them. I feel like this dish could have stood more than I went on both of those. Let's try the salad because I don't know how this dressing ultimately is going to behave on an actual salad. Well, it's not as oily as it was when I said it was too oily. It's actually pretty sharp. So, not bad. Not bad. Okay. Now, normally I've got time to just wax poetic at the end here, but we have to wrap up because I have guests and they need to eat this as well while it's still hot and fresh and ready to go. So, thank you all for showing up. Thank you to my lovely guests for coming to enjoy the meal in person with me. Let's pick somebody to raid off to. Fortunately, I'm going to have to raid and run. Oh my goodness! One of my guests has shown up in the background at the last moment to say hi. Let's go bother Billy today. He evidently has. Earlier, when I left, when I was watching Billy, Felix says hello. Earlier, when I was watching Billy, oops, I clicked raid.